you can think about it like having a football team with a lot of stars, but if you don't make the stars play to each other, and it's time for another Pimp My Tune episode. It looks like people really enjoyed the first one, so I will continue with this series because I really enjoyed quite a bit as well. And if you're new to the channel, if you don't know what it is, it's basically my subscribers sending their tunes to me, and I take them and try to improve them somehow. And I want to do a quick reminder to begin with. When you send your projects, if it is Ableton, please don't forget to freeze all the channels before you send it and click collect all and save. Otherwise, if I don't have the plugins that you are using, or if the versions are crashing, I cannot able to hear the channel. So it's really important. And remember not to send a complete track. I won't be able to go through the complete track in a short amount of time. So what I'm looking for, either a simple sound like a lead or bass or something like that, or a small loop. That also works. That being said, I received quite a bit of feedback requests, and I actually found one that could be very helpful for everybody in the channel. And I think this is one of the most overlooked issue beginner producers have. And that problem is not about the plugins that you use or the music theory that you have. I think the biggest issue that I often see is the execution of the ideas. So you will see this track has really nice ideas and get a lot of things right. When you listen to the track, like the loop, you feel like this is a good track, but it feels like somehow off. I will try to go piece by piece, and I will try to explain why it feels a bit wrong and how you can fix it and how you can actually think about this next time when you do your project. But let's sit down and pimp some tunes. So this is the loop that I got. So again, because the producer didn't actually freeze the tracks, we have an issue with our Serum versions. I try to keep the Serum as old as possible, because otherwise I receive a lot of mails complaining about the problems that they have because they cannot open and so on. So side effect of this, that when you send like the latest version of the Serum, then I cannot open it. But it sounds like this. Do you feel it? I honestly really think that there are really good ideas in the track. Most of the elements are right, but the way the track or the loop executed is wrong. And that is the reason it sounds a bit off, even though it had the potential, you can feel it. So the first problem, the issue is here, actually, the low end. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this, group them up, and call it before, so that we can come back and compare A/B all the time and see what we are doing and how that is affecting overall quality of the track. So, and I will duplicate this one and call it after. The one thing that I also suggest you to think about is gathering the low end together so that you can process them together so that they can sound a bit more cohesive. So what I'm going to do as a first step is I'm going to take the bass, I'm going to take the kick, put it on top, and I'm going to take the tom, because this is quite a low tom, so we have to treat it as a low end. So if I play the low end now, it sounds like this. This part is a bit hard to hear if you are beginning producers, but we are in the key of G. And unfortunately, the kick is probably in the worst key that you would have if you are in the G. If we take a look at the kick here, we are in the G sharp. So that is the first reason the low end sounds a bit off, because we have a track that is very heavily oriented to the G, and then we have G sharp kick, and it's one of the most dissonant note that you can use, and just sounds kind of wrong, and you hear it or you feel it, but you cannot put it into the words. So what I'm going to do to start with, I'm going to just take this key, transpose half semitone, and I'm going to play with the bass just to see if I am fine-tuning it a bit, and if I see if it can sound a bit better. So I'm going to just do it here because we are playing G over here. If I show you the notes, I'm going to play one more time. I think somewhere around here it just sounds right. And this is the first part that we have to decide on how we are going to execute this track. Because I think for this track, the main hook of this track is this lead sound. And it sounds like this. It sounds quite authentic, and we have to play on the lead sounds, and we have to put it into the front, we have to make it shine. But the issue at the moment, if you play the low end together with this lead. Every time kick hits, there is a like pump sound, and it really takes over the track, and it is like really almost bashing our lead sounds, and that is not something we would like to have. We would like to have probably a bit smoother, silkier, creamier low end, so that we can actually help the lead sound shine a bit more. And if we take separately, I'm gonna turn the bass off and the tom off. I'm gonna start with the kick, and let's solo this. There are a couple of issues that I see with the kick. I think the start with the sample is not right. And main issue on the sample is this initial thumb of the kick. It's almost like a clap sound. It's like a couple of sharp white noise or the noise on top of each other. It's like that sound. I think that's not right. And I think the way the drum bass is used a bit wrong. I would instead start with actually an OTT like this, because I can also hear this thumb and everything, and it takes too much time and space. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to try to fix things a little bit with the OTT. So what I'm going to do, try to cut those high ends and play around the mids a little bit. Just like that. Now it's a bit like a smoother, a bit like more, let's say, less wilder. If we do it A/B test again. I think though it's not enough. I will play around with the drum bass and EQA to see if I can get a bit smoother, silkier kick. Now, I almost get rid of all the high end because, like I said, I don't feel like this is the right kick to play with. So what I'm going to do, basically, I'm going to just get a bit lazy, duplicate this. This is our original sound. And I'm going to just put another drum bass here and get a kick sample that has a bit smoother thumb, a bit like a bit more mid-oriented. So let me quickly do that. All right, on top of that, I just found this, one of my go-to kicks. It's Cool Kick Bass, it's called, and it sounds actually like this. You see this really smooth initial thumb compared to other guys, like a very distorted one. And if I play together now, you feel that this is a much smoother kick compared to other one here. Again, what we are thinking over here is like making the low end smoother so that our a bit more high pitch, high end can get a bit more room in overall. The second thing that we have to fix is the bass. Again, if you take a look at our low end, we have the bass and we have the tom. And the toms are sitting around 100 hertz, like 90, 100 hertz. So that means basically we have kind of our bass from the toms. So we need kind of a sub bass to fill up the rest of the space. And if we take a look at here, we have a simple serum patch. I think this is more than enough because we just need a sub bass, and we can play around a little bit with the kick and see, we can make it. And I will definitely start into the kick so that we have not crashing frequencies with the kick when the kick hits. Let's do it in the look ahead as well. I think this is good enough to start with. And then we have this tom part. And this is quite important. I saw it actually, the toms are tuned. At least we have a tom sample that is tuned if we play it. I think still need to be tuned slightly, but it's still close. The first thing that I see is it's really long tom sound, and there's no reason to have it this long because, yeah, we have the bass, we have the kick. We just need this kind of initial hit of the tom rather than having this like a long tail on top of this. So I will start with shortening it up a little bit. This is good. And those MIDI part here, we don't need it. We have already this update. I think overall B for the tom is here as well. And then probably I will go for the tuning it slightly as well. Something like this. The issue here though is not only the sound itself, how the sound is utilized. Here we have the same notes playing and over again. I think there is the issue with that because it gets quite boring when you have kind of a bit more creamier sound. So you would like to develop a bit more interesting toms to get the overall low end a bit more interesting. And what I tend to do that I know that works easily is that if you copy your original tom and put it in 7 semitones up, which means the perfect fifth, and that will work without most of the time any issue. The easiest way, copy, paste, transpose it 7 semitones, and we have +6 now. And if I play this, we have this nice sound. And for afterwards, you have to pick around and test around. And I would like to go like here. We have a bit more repeating closer notes, and here as well, and here as well. So oftentimes if you're going up, it works quite nice if you put your high notes right afterwards somewhere around here. If I play here one more time, if we play together with the low end, it will make a bit more sense. So easily works, but you can make it a bit more interesting. Let me quickly try a bit ideas and come back. Okay, here are our notes. Basically, I added these like fast in between. I felt like this worked a bit better. Again, these are the area that we are quickly hitting a couple of notes, and here as well. And you see that this is slightly different, so that this is a 4-bar loop, a slight variation. It really helps nicely. And the other thing that is missing, that one was actually, I added a slight OTT. If I solo this guy, basically I just slightly tame the sound so it's not like boom boom all the time, and then add a super slight EQ, super dark, super short as well, so give a bit ambience to the tom. And all together, if we play one more time, it's very clear low end. And the one thing that is of course missing is I want the toms to be heard a bit easier. So one of the ways to do it, actually, you can just take this sidechain and sidechain it to the tom here. And then you should make it very fast so that you don't duck the subband too much. And we're gonna do it very fast, very short. And look at turned on. It will also help you to volume down the toms in this case. And the one final thing is actually just processing them together as a group so that we get whole, low end, tight, and smooth. The two things that I like to use here, I think that may work, is actually just a channel EQ to balance over all the things, and then glue compressor because we have those toms and kick, and smooth bass to make everything a bit more like a coherent altogether. So let's go for it. This is a very nice smooth low end, and this tom, sub, and kick low ends really work nicely if you have a bit more smoother plug sounds. And this is exactly what we needed, but if you do an A/B test with the original track, you will see how much difference it makes. And once we have done this one, I think we should go for the pads and take a look at what we can do here, because now we have to support this low mid part with the low pads so that we still have this nice ambience going on for us. In the track, we have this pad sound, and then we have this plug sound, but this is almost like a pad sound. So if you listen to it, I will treat it as a pad sounds because this is used for creating the ambience. So grouping them together with the pad, processing with the pad, so thinking it as an ambient sound will really help with the overall balance of the track. So I will start with the pad, and I'm gonna call this actually the low pad, because I think for this track we should separate them a bit to have a bit more control over the overall frequency range of the track. And if I open up here, I see that the third, this is a G minor, the third, the A sharp is put one octave above. This works quite a lot if you want a bit wider pad sounds, but for this case I'm gonna go for actually a bit tighter pad sound. I'm gonna make it focus a bit more, and instead put the D one octave below to have this more focused sound. So if we play again, I'm gonna push this down, side chain to the kick, good idea, let's put it there as well. And we go to the sound and we take a look at now what we want to do. So I want this sound a bit darker, so let's close this cutoff. And I want to give a slight probably distortion. This is really good enough. The issue here is the movement. You can either make the movement playing with the frequency range and the overall parameters of the synthesizer, or you can actually play with the notes. And I think for this case we have to play with notes to make it a bit more interesting. And I want to keep it simple because it's in the low end. I don't want to really make dissonant sounds with the bass. So if I play together with our low end to get a bit vibe from it, we are basically playing against the bass. The bass goes up, we go down with the pad, so it creates this kind of nice tension. So take a look. It's really hard to hear the sub bass, but it's there and it's really nice. I will keep it this way. And let's group these guys together as well. And then I'm going to duplicate this and create the high pad. And in high pad, I want to have a bit contrast. So I want to play with the probably sound so that we have a bit contrast on the sound. So what I would like to do, probably change this, put another oscillator, put one octave above, and go for a bit more this kind of resonant sound. And so this. And maybe we can play around a bit the cutoff. And if I take this LFO, put it here, I don't want it too aggressive, but I want this ramp movement. So we are going up and make it like a bar. Let's play together with the low pad. Volume it down. Cut highs from here. Now I don't want it to be too loud because we have this pad pluck sound, which is really interesting as well. So let's go there and play that sound as well. I think this is a very interesting sound. And what I want to do, push this a bit. Emphasize on the highs a bit more basically. And let's sidechain the kick. Push the trebles a bit more. And I think it needed a bit more confusing stereo feel so that we can make it a bit more bigger ambience. Easiest way to do it, again, I want to keep this ramping feel, let's say. And let's put this in the amount and let's put into maybe something like this. And I want to use this one. I think it makes the sound really interesting. Probably we have to get rid of these super plugs a bit more. And then let's go here again. And let's play together all these ones. Process them together. let's play with the low end and balance them together as well. I think it is really smooth, and again, mix could be slightly better, but we will come back in the final part where we have also other sounds and take it from there. Once we have done this, the thing that is missing is now consider about the lead sound, or like a hook or everything. We are building this track around this lead sound, and we have to probably make it a bit more interesting. At the moment, it sounds like this. I think the issue here, first, I think the sound pushed a bit too hard to the back. We have to fix that. And then probably we can play around a little bit the parameters to make the sound a bit more interesting, maybe add a bit slight higher layer so that the sound gets a bit richer, because again, we are building the track on top of this sound. So let's play around with the Diva and see what we can do. I think the first thing that we have a lot of delays and reverbs. We have delay reverb here, and then we have delay reverb outside, so I think it's a bit too much. So the first thing that I would like to do, basically, take off this delay. It just makes it a bit more focused, because that's important. So I'm not really sure about the plate reverb here, but I see that the wet signal is super low, so it's almost like not there. Let's keep it there. The thing that I'm thinking now, I need a bit more snappier sound. So I'm gonna try to play around the envelope so that I can get it a bit snappier. See how the sounds get snappier, but I think that's not enough. We have to play probably a little bit with the keyboard, the feedback, and maybe increase the noise amount so that when we play with the cutoff, because I see that the track has a bit of automation. I think it's a really good idea. It gives the feel, the vibe, but it needs to be emphasized a bit more, and white noise is extremely good for that. So let's play around with those as well. And I think this will be really nice if we had a bit one more layer really high on the pitch, so that we can have this super bright, almost ringing sound on top. I will probably pick somewhere around in between here, because if you pick the triangle, it will be probably just a kind of a super simple without the harmonics. So it will be a bit too much probably, but in between we can probably get something. I want to even emphasize a bit more on the white noise sound. So what I'm going to do, a bit more unorthodox, but let's add a vocoder, use it slightly and get a bit vocoder white noise distortion, or not distortion, but richness out of it as well. I think this is good enough. Let's play with the track. You see, there's something wrong, right? Like, I think the issue is here because these notes is not in the right place. So if I try to move this around and try to start the track here, like with the first note, let me do it in real time so that you can hear what I'm doing. Basically, moving it a bit around helps also the idea. We start here and we go up right before the first bar, and we go down, go up the first bar. So we have this movement up right before the bar ends, and it really helps with this overall movement or overall idea with the track. Those small things can make the big differences. So you should again think about a coherence altogether with all elements. So I think the original sound the way it was good, but it just missed this feel and playing around with the other guys, and just moving them a bit to the left so that the bar ends with these high notes, give this kind of like playing around more or less. And finally we have another sound here, and it's very shy, very low, and it's the our shaker sound. It sounds like this. I think sound itself is nice, but it just needs a bit touch. So what I mean with that is, let's volume this up a little bit and a bit slight fade in. This also makes me feel like we can definitely continue with our like ramping up vibes with maybe playing with a bit with the attack as well, which means that I can pick LFO, put it here, map the fade in to do here, and decrease the depth and offset. So take a look at this slight movement here, and let's change the movement to the up. So whoop, whoop, whoop. Play again. Really nice. Let's play with the track and see how it is. I think the one thing that is missing is make it even more interesting by introducing a sidechain to the kick, so that we have also over the volume level movement with the kick, or the reacting to the kick. I think the one final thing could be just overall playing a bit with the parameter, make it smoother. Let me quickly do that and take one final look before we conclude this. I forgot one final thing, and it is actually important. While I was fixing the stuff, I changed the notes slightly here, and I think the original, I added one like duo notes, basically emphasize the G in here and there. It just makes it a bit smoother. Let me solo it so that you can hear the difference. It just makes it a bit more smoother sound. And actually there was an off note that I realized when I was looking around, and that is, I think this one was off. So I slightly played around, there's not really much change. So what I would like to do now, A/B, so that you can hear, or let's see if you can hear the difference between these two. And maybe it makes it clear as well what I mean by getting an idea and making everything play together. So you can think about it like having a football team with a lot of stars, but if you don't make the stars play to each other, the team play really bad. But if you make them play to each other, then everything shines, like every one of the elements shines in the track. So that's exactly what we tried here, the execution. So let's play A/B and see what happens. I think this is quite important to understand the execution part, because I think most of the beginner producers or even like intermediate producers, they don't have really issue with coming up with the ideas or the sounds, because now we have the preset packs and the samples and so on. Most of the time you have all these things on your fingerprints. The most important thing is actually the execution, and I think it's really important to think about the purpose of your track. What are you gonna do? What is your hook? Is your lead sound, is your drums, or is your pad sounds, or your percussions? Do you want to like focus on which part? And again, during the track, it doesn't need to be the same focus all the time. So in the beginning, you may focus on bringing in your drums and percussions, and then maybe in the break, you would like to focus on your pads, and in your chorus, maybe you would like to focus on your lead sound. So the focus can change during the track, but you should still have an aim with each part of the track, if that makes sense. Other than that, if you want me to continue with the series, let me know, drop your comments below and give a like to the video so that I know. And if you want to send your tunes to me to be pimped, the email address is biskuwifeedback@gmail.com. I will add the link below, or the email address below, so that you can use that as well. And all in all, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned something. And I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.